Okay, folks, we're going to talk a little bit about the equation of a line and how to find the slope of a line. And we'll look at a couple of minor little problems. Hopefully, this will help you with these sections that 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 and 9.1. So the first thing we're going to look at, last time I explained how to draw a point on the x and y plane. Today let's look at if you have a point or you have 2 points and you have a line that goes through those 2 points, how do you find the slope of that line? So remember, in most of the book, we're going to use m to represent the slope, m, and the formula is m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Right, a lot of times we call this rise over run. So some of you probably are familiar with the term rise over run, right? Run is the x, the differences in the x-axis, the difference between the x values, and rise is the difference between the y values. So let's look at a point. Notice here that if x1 or x2 is equal to x1, right here, you would be dividing by 0, and you don't want to divide by 0. So when the x values are the same, that means the slope is not defined. An example, let's say we have the point 3, 2, and the point 3, 11. So if we want to find the slope of this line, so we're going to call this x1, y1, and this one x2, y2. And another way to say that is x sub 1, y sub 1, and x sub 2, y sub 2. The sub 1, sub 2 just means the second point or the first point. So if we apply the formula to this, we're going to have, let's look at this here. So x2 minus x1 would be 0, right? And y2 minus y1, 11 minus 2. So here the slope is undefined. No slope, undefined. Now, that's different from having a slope of 0. Remember, here you cannot divide by 0. Now, if I look at another example, let's say this time we're looking at the point 5, 7, and the point 3. Let's say negative 3 makes it a little bit more interesting, and 7. Okay, so here now we're focusing on these two. What do we have? We're going to have, if we apply the formula, we're going to get rise over run. Okay, so let's call this x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2, right? So we're going to do, apply the formula. So we have x2, negative 3, minus negative 5, so negative 3, minus negative 3 minus positive 5, so that's just minus 5, right? For the top, you're going to have 7 minus 7, and you'll get a 0 divided by negative 8, and that's equal to 0. Now notice that the slope of 0 and undefined are two different things, right? If the x values are the same, it means that it does not have a slope. An example, if we're looking at a line, the x and y plane here, if we're looking at this line, right, this line right here, what does that mean? The x values are the same no matter where you go on the line. The x is, let's say 2 here, is always 2. So in this case, this line is a vertical line, and a vertical line has no slope. Remember that. A horizontal line, however, here, the y values are the same. Let's say we're looking at the point 7 here. So here the y values are the same. So the top is going to be 0, but the bottom is not going to be 0. So for the top to be 0, if the top is 0, we're going to get 0 for the top. It's okay to have 0 divide by a number. You will still get a 0, but that's different from no slope at all. Okay, so now let's look at the next page. Now, what if you have a positive slope? Let's say if you have the point, let's say we are looking at 2 points here, the point -2, 5, and the point 7 and 8, right? I'm picking these at random here, so it got a little blurry, but here it is. So we have the point -2, 5, and the point 7, 8. So if we look at the slope here, remember the formula is y2 m is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, right? So we have m is equal to, so we're going to call this one x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so in this case, we're going to have y2 minus y1, 8 minus 5, divide by x2, which is 7, 7 minus, remember x1 is -2, so that's minus 2. So we're going to have 5 minus 8, 8 minus 5 is 3. 7 minus a 2 will give us 7 plus 2 is 9. So we have 3 over 9, which is equal to 1/3. And notice that this is a positive slope. A positive slope means that the line, if we have a line that has a positive slope, the line is going to rise. We call this a rising line. Later you're going to see the word, the line is increasing. Right? The line is increasing if it has a positive slope. If it's negative, a line has negative slope, it's going to decrease. That's a decreasing line or a falling line. So we use the term falling or decreasing line to denote a line that is pointing down. So positive slope increasing, negative slope decreasing, right? And zero slope, it's a horizontal line, and no slope, it is a vertical line. And we can apply this to real life situation, right? For example, if we have profit has a positive slope, our profit function is linear and it has a positive slope, means profit is going up. If profit has a negative slope, we know profit is going down. If profit has zero slope, then what do we know? We know that profit is not changing, it's the same. Okay? I think if you have questions on this, feel free to send them to me. Now let's look at the equation of a line. Now the equation of a line, there are different forms of the equation of a line. Right, we know how to find the slope. Now let's look at the equation. The easiest one is when we write a line. Remember, line is linear, right? And again, when we're talking about lines, we're talking about polynomials of degree 1. Later we'll look at that a little bit more. So if we have y is equal to, let's look at the general slope, the general form of the intercept form of a line. It is y is equal to mx plus b. So if you're given an equation and you can write it in this form, that is, you're solving for y, right? Any equation, you solve for y, you write it in this term, right, in this form, then the coefficient of the x is always going to be the slope. Okay, and this b is going to be the y-intercept. Let's look at an example. Okay, so if you have y is equal to negative 2x plus 4, right? So it is in this nice form that we want. So in this case, the slope, in this case, what's the coefficient of the x here? That's minus 2, that's the slope, right? And the y-intercept is 4. Okay, so the slope is negative. Of course, now from what we just said earlier, you know that the slope, the line is going to point down. Now, if it is not in the form of y is equal to something, we can always make it look like that. So we can always write an equivalent equation that will make it look in the form of y is equal to. So let's say we have 3x plus 6y is equal to 9. So here it is not in the form of y is equal to. Oh, I'm sorry, I need a y here, right? So let's say this is y. So I have 3x plus 6y is equal to 9. So I need to write it in this form that we talked about earlier, y is equal to, in that intercept form, y-intercept form. So this is called, let me write this down here, as y-intercept form of the equation of a line. So I have 3x plus 6y is equal to 9. So what do I do? Well, I have to isolate the 6y here. So I'm going to take out a 3x on this side, take out a 3x on that side. So what do I have? These two cancel out to give me a 0. 6y is equal to negative 3x plus 9. Remember, I'm looking for y here, not 6y. So I'm going to divide through by 6. Divide through by 6. Right? So I have y is equal to 6 goes in, 3 goes into 6 is 1/2. So here, negative 1/2. X, right, plus 9 over 6. We have a common factor of 3 here. So we take out the common factor. We have 3 over 2 plus 3 over 2. Now it is in this form that we are familiar with. We talked about earlier. So now we have y is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 3/2. So now the slope is negative 1/2. Right? So now we have, so if it is not in this nice form, you can always convert it by writing an equivalent equation that would put it in the form of y is equal to. Now, there is another formula that I need to get you to remember here, particularly for test purposes. This one is the point slope form of the equation of a line. So we have, it is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Okay? In this case, we have the unknown, the point here is x1, y1. So this is the point that the line is going to go through, right? x1, y1. M represent the slope. Okay, this is the point, this is the slope. So here's a question for you. If I ask you to write the equation of the line that goes to the point 2, 3. The line goes to the point 2, 3 and has slope 5. Okay, so we can do this very quickly, right? So we know x1 is this, y1 is this, and 5 is the slope. Okay, so having said that, what can we do? We can say, okay, y minus 3, this 3 right here, right? And equal to m, which we know is 5, times x minus x1 is 2. Here we go. That's it. You can simplify, of course. Y minus 3 is equal to, remember, 5 times x is 5x. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Okay, add a 3 to both sides, right, to get rid of that 3 on the left side. Okay, so we have y is equal to 5x minus 7. Okay, this is in the intercept form. So here's the slope, and here's the y-intercept. Okay. Now, a couple more things here. The other thing that I would like to remind you is, if we say, I'm sorry, excuse me, if two lines are parallel, what do we know? They have the same slope. So two parallel lines they have same slope. Okay? That's always true. Two parallel lines have the same slope. Okay? They have the same slope. So what does that mean? Right? If two of them are falling, both of them are going to be falling. If they are rising, both of them are going to be rising, but the slope always going to be the same. Okay? So two lines are perpendicular. If one line, called m, is equal to 1 over m2 with a minus in front of it. So we read this as the line perpendicular, the line, let's call it m1, perpendicular to m2 is going to equal to negative the reciprocal of the line. Okay? So remember, let's look at this here. So if we have a line, let's say we have this line. So we know this line is increasing, right? Positive slope. So if we're looking at the line that's perpendicular to this one, you know for sure it's going to be decreasing, right? Perpendicular means 90 degree right here. It's going to be decreasing, so it has, whatever the sign is, it has to be opposite sign. If you're given this, you need to find this one. It's going to have the opposite sign, right? So if I tell you I have a line and the slope is 3, right? What is the slope of the line perpendicular to the line with slope 3? All you have to do, so this is m1 or m2. So m1 is equal to 1 over 3 with a minus in front of it. Okay? Another example, so if I have a line with slope 1/2, negative 1/2, okay, what's the slope of the line perpendicular to this line? Is the line that has slope of negative 1/2. All we have to do is put negative in front of this 1/2 first, so that negative and a negative will make this a positive, and we're going to take the reciprocal of the 1/2. So we're going to get, okay, so m is equal to negative 1/2. So m1 is going to be negative negative, which makes it a positive. Take the reciprocal of this, you get 2. Okay? Okay, if you have questions here, feel free to send to me. But what we just talked about slope. How do you find the slope? Rise over run.
Okay? Remember, if the line is horizontal, it has slope of 0. If the line is vertical, it has no. If the line is rising, it has a positive slope, and if the line is falling, we say that it has a negative. Now, we also talked about the y-intercept of the equation of a line, where we it as y is equal to mx plus b. And then we talked about the slope of the equation of a line, right? That you're given 2 points. Point is it, and the slope, and you can write the equation. Now let's look at one more problem before I finish here. Point Let's do these two. If we're looking at here, my 1, 2, and all the way to 7 here, and then a high 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. I go 4. I'm looking at this. I want to be able to write. But the thing I need is slope. I don't have slope to find the slope. Okay, so with the slope, the p is equal to y2 minus 1 divided by x2 minus, right? Remember that? We talked about. Let's call this x1, y1, this x2, 2. Now what we're going to do is 4 minus 1, so 4 minus 7 divided by reverse negative 3 is so okay. So y minus we know this little bit is square be a positive 1 times